Hey folks, welcome to the Almond Landscape YouTube channel. We are cruising the hood here today. We're going to tour the neighborhood here. I'm going to talk about some basic and common hardscape mistakes. One of the biggest ones I see in this neighborhood constantly is the lack of planning for grade. And one of the examples I'll show you right here, probably get in like trouble for shooting this neighborhood, but right here is a great example. This driveway coming up to that step, there's a huge, that's like a 12-inch step. Nobody planned to put a step in here. Like, what on earth? That's a horrible deal. We're gonna cruise here. Beautiful neighborhood, by the way, and I'm not being or trying or meaning to be overly critical here, but maybe what it might be perceived as. Let's show you here on this corner of this wall. They did announce. We just did a video on this, literally a few weeks ago, but talking about these corners and how to avoid. You want to avoid that seam, or ideally, if you have to have that seam on an outside obtuse angle like that, you want to cut those blocks so they still interweave between each other, interlock block to block. We did a YouTube video on that a few weeks back. You might check that out. So, but that aesthetic right there is not the most ideal. And really, ideally, you really want a retaining wall cap on that kind of product. It makes it look more complete, more finished. So keep that in mind. As we continue our tour here, I really like these paver parking spots when they use pavers to demarc the actual parking space itself. That's super cool. We get away from the guard shack so people don't think I'm some crazy stalker or something. But one of the things I see everywhere down here, and it's lowest bid and it's all that kind of stuff, but here's a great example. This place is being remodeled at the moment, but is using pavers as the coping. For the good Lord's sake, don't do that. Well, that doesn't matter because it's whatever, but you don't want to use the pavers as the coping. That edge is not desirable, not for a finer finish aesthetic. Now I get it in like production work and that kind of stuff, like, you know, it kind of is what it is in these kind of circumstances, and especially in the Florida paver market, which is just brutal from what I understand of trying to make any money down here. That's tough. Now, one thing I will tell you, this herringbone pattern here in these 4x8 pavers, that is the strongest paver pattern that you can do with a 4x8 and in general, according to the ICPI. Look at this container, this roller crushed these pavers through here for the dumpsters. Oops, that's no good. No bueno. We'll cruise onward here. There are some really beautiful paver driveways in here, some really good looking stuff, and even just with some cleaning and sealing. Like, I really like this paver here. That's a really sharp looking product. I like that a lot. That's a nice looking paver. But this whole street, you can see these streets are all pavers here, which is amazing because you'll see the big waste management trash trucks come through here. And here's a great example. It's so bad, but you'll see this waste management trash trucks. It's huge, you know, 3-axle trash trucks come through here and tri-axle dump trucks. But look at the elevations here, all screwed up. Like, the first step is maybe, you know, 5 inches. The second one is 5.5, 7.5 plus. Next one's 8. So 4, 7, 8 or 9 inches there. Like, that's horrible. That's just bad. That's bad. That's bad. I'd say engineering, but it really is. Before I was rudely interrupted here with our GoPro going dead, I want to show you a couple things here real quick. We'll go back to that retaining wall. Just stand by. I want to show you, and this is stuff we teach at Hardscape Academy and on our training videos and all that kind of stuff. But this radius here, very tight radius on this curved set of pavers here. And we did a video a few weeks ago talking about this, but whoever did this did a real nice job. That's got a really good consistent cut to it. The pavers aren't rotating, you know, rapidly out of control there. So whoever cut those in did a really nice job. So the tighter that radius, the more, I mean, you see how slim those pavers are getting there, right? So you've really got to watch out for that, because if you try to keep them big and fat, it's going to get really chunky and pretty gnarly looking. So I'm sure we'll come across an example of that. This little paver entry here, that's not too bad. I just love that everything is, you know, the great thing about this market is you can put pavers pretty much anywhere because the cost isn't, you know, so prohibitive. But at the same time, it is hard to make money in pavers in Florida, so far as I understand. That part's very, very challenging. So when pavers are under, you know, just standard flat load like this, they're gonna respond pretty well. But when you start getting into areas where the car or the vehicle, you know, pulling up into a driveway like this, they're gonna, you know, that vehicle pulling, you know, those tires pulling up the grade, it's really gonna put a lot of pressure on pavers. And it's not that they can't handle it, but if there's any deficiency in the basing, you're gonna see it. And right here where those cars, I mean, if you can see the deflection there, that is definitely part of the issue there. So if you have any basing issues, well, that's where you're gonna see it a lot. Here we've got a loss of control of the edge here. And again, that edging is the most important aspect in this place. They're in paver systems. And you can see how these are just creeping away because they lost control of the edge restraint here. And down here they use pretty much all, again, we're in Florida, obviously. They use pretty much exclusively, it seems, all concrete edge restraint so far as I've seen. Like, let me show you this. Just, it's insane. $1 million houses, just amazing. And then tacky solutions like this stack of pavers. Like, what on earth? It's so disgusting. Now, granted, who notices? I don't know. I know I do. It's abominable. It's an abomination. But again, just so awesome, these paver streets down through here. Super cool. Oh, those guys got the tile on the roof yesterday. That's super awesome. Mixed concrete used through here. That's kind of an old style pavers. Those are super cool. And they all just hold up so well. That part is just so cool about Florida paver situations where they don't have the clay and just the basing requirements that we have to have up in Ohio. And JCB lift there, I'd love to have one of those. That'd be so handy. Here's a great example. They were like Green Lizard. They were planning on, this is really nice. They did a nice job on this. But you can see they were planning for grade there to keep the water from running in the garage. Nice job. They were just leveling this pad out last year when we were here, and that's all further they made. I don't know if interest rates finally crushed them or what was going on, but it seems that construction's on pause on that one. That's a bummer. Here's something, this is so cool. I love this one coming up here. You'll see it, I think. It looks like plankton. Oh no, it's in the way, but it looks like plankton from SpongeBob. It's definitely something I think is really funny. I always remarked on that. Okay, fast forward to the new Corvettes. Man, I don't care what Brian Fullerton says. Those are dope. They did such a nice job on those. I really like those pavers there. Those really look good. That's a sharp look. Again, coping. Pavers uses pull coping. God, I hate that. We're gonna see if we can bomb in there and not crash. Look at this guy's work trailer, man. That thing's organized. That's awesome. I love that. But like this, like the pavers used as coping. Just, I hate that on the edge. Like, obviously in the pool they use bullnose. That's nice. But like the coping on the outside, veneer, I mean, whatever, but really would love to see that bullnose used at least on the outside here. That would be so nice, especially for, you know, such an amazing house, right? It's just such a crazy, and some of the folks that hire it out, they just don't even know. And for Florida, this seems standard, I guess. They did a nice job on this pool here. They were building this last year when we were here, and they did a really nice job on it. Here's a great example of why when you do pavers over someone else's excavation, you cannot warranty that area if they did the backfill, because you see that settling and sinking right there. That's from someone that eventually at some point prior did excavation work and probably electric irrigation or something, and then whoever put pavers over top of that, and the problem is they didn't backfill it to any good standards. And so when you build over someone else's excavation work, you're then pretty much, and you don't call that out to the client, you're accepting pretty much responsibility for how that paver section. So anytime you're building over someone else's trench of work in a paver patio or whatever, it's really, really critical that you call that out in your contract, that you're not responsible for settling in those areas. and it'll be fixed on a time and material, or, you know, separate price kind of deal, whatever. So one last thing, I'm gonna shoot a whole video on this. Hopefully I get to it. There's a retaining wall built right here, and I'll shoot a whole video on it later. But a few things that are done really well, and a few things that could stand some improvement. So, and again, I say all this stuff having made all these mistakes before, learning the hard way, or trying to educate myself out of making those mistakes. So that's kind of that. So okay, so those are basic mistakes. Hopefully you can watch out for, and maybe learn from this, and carry into your next project, and by carry into them, I mean not do them, and go from there. So be sure to like and subscribe. Check out the hardscapeacademy.com, and you know, what else? I guess that's it. Okay.